Welcome, everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk. My name is Pawel the Cat, one of your partial co-hosts with my other half, my better half, Evan Renaerts. Evan, how you doing? Welcome back to your studio.
Well, your wife's going to wonder why she's not the better half, but I totally get it. I like to just say that I am so thankful I'm out of the dark. And I don't know if you guys watched last week's episode when I was in the dark. I went back to listen because I wasn't sure on what the sound and stuff was like. Man, I feel like I'm slithering my slid and I'm talking like this. And I think I had a stroke. Maybe it was all the stress going down to Red Deer and everything being lost. And anyway, so it was quite the night. How was your week, buddy? Thanks for taking care of things last week.
Of course, it was good. I would say that it was our pre-annual Halloween episode where you're in the dark and we give spooky news about the NHL. But no, we're looking forward to having Halloween with the little ones this week, a little bit of trick-or-treating. I am right now, Evan. I know that everyone is pretty much swept up in the World Series with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. You guys can let us know if you're cheering for either team or if you just do not care. But it's been fun ride watching all the excitement, all the atmosphere between the two teams because it's been one of the best. And I did stay up. Unfortunately, for my end, it was only till 1 a.m. That 11th or 18th inning that they went to. It was quite wild. I was like, all right, they got to score. No, the Dodgers got to score. No, they got to score. So it's been pretty interesting. But we're getting it into it because the NHL itself has its own frozen frenzy last night. All 32 teams have in action. And I wanted to get your thoughts quickly. Did you catch any games? Your thoughts on the event and anything else you want to share with us?
Yep. I caught the Oilers. I caught the Sharks. I caught the Blackhawks. I caught the Islanders. Of course, the teams they played with also. But I was following some of the specific players. I'm trying to remember. There was two more games. Yeah, could you imagine trying to fit all those in? How are you? I feel like and maybe you guys are very technological, even in the wrong words to use. You're very techie with screen, picture in picture. I got to figure out how to do that with my TV so I can get multiple games playing at once on the same piece on my TV screen. Man, that would be way more enjoyable than going in, out, in, out, in, out. It was quite a thing.
So I will say that I have a friend in Calgary who's a big sports fan, all sports. Like he'll follow whatever sport. He's really invested. And so when they got their new place in Calgary, he put up four large TVs, 50-inch each, on every side of the wall, so he can have different sports on every single one. He clearly is living the dream because if that was me asking my wife for that, she would say, "Get out of that with that silly idea." But really, I mean, four TVs all across your wall almost feels like a digital projection that you would have, right? And to focus on all four, oh man, my attention span would not last. But
How'd you do for all the games? Like,
I caught a few. I was catching like bits of pieces every single one. So you go from the Blue Jays game to the Oilers game to I caught a little bit of the Montreal Seattle game to the Vancouver and return of JT Miller with the Rangers and the San Jose Sharks and LA Kings. Really phenomenon. Quick highlights: Cole Caulfield making the what's it called Olympic team for sure. He is a snipe. He knows how to finish. Although it was a little harrowing, and that's of course expected with a young team like Montreal to be up 3-0 and then let 3 goals, but then coming back in overtime. San Jose, man, I mean, they were peppering Darcy Kemper, and LA looked like they were going to lose it, but they held on just barely. And they've really picked it up after a slow start to the season. But man, I think Elliot Friedman said it best. Once Once San Jose learns how to defend, watch out because they can score in droves. And props to both Jeff Skinner and John Klingberg out there because they're having good seasons. And you need some rookie or veterans on that lineup. We know they have Toffoli, but you need those guys there in order to make an impact. So, and Askarov, I like what he's brought so far. Again, he's a young goalie, still unproven. He likes to definitely showcase himself as politely as I can say on the ice.
yeah.
But he's definitely had some interesting moves on there that would even irk Stuart Skinner fans. So it goes to show you that goaltending, as we've talked about before on previous episodes, is a little bit voodoo. There's some, kind of unnatural way of how they play. But really, even right now, Evan, the average save percentage across the league, I think it's like 895 or 890. Like, it's not even above 900. And we're just getting started. So it's been interesting. My one critique that I would have for the NHL is that I like all 32 teams, but make it a Saturday. And I know I argued with people on Twitter /X about how, well, ESPN owns the right. Well, so does Sportsnet, but the NHL can input some stuff. I know there's college football. I know there's other things on the tube. But if you're going to do a frozen frenzy, don't do it on a Tuesday night in October. Do it in March or April when there's a little bit more at stake and there's a little bit more heightened attention. And I got to be honest, I mean, a lot of people are focused on baseball right now, so it's a little hard to get into it, right? Or am I wrong?
I like how you called it. You started off and you said the frozen thing. As you're trying to come up with the names of it. It is interesting that and again, you never know the World Series. I mean, for people like right now that affects Canada, it would always affect the United States no matter where they are. So you can't worry about the World Series part. But the fact is, you're right. It's on a Tuesday. You can't watch all day, and they could get games even way earlier if they did it all throughout the day, like on Saturday. This is now the third straight year with Frozen Frenzy being called, where all 32 teams specifically, where every single team is actually playing on that same day. So that's not as common of a thing. I absolutely love it. I think that it's exciting for hockey to be able to do. But I think my problem isn't even the day, My problem is that they have just a couple, like, why are you playing two teams, so 2 games on a night, and then another day you have 16 games? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Spread them out a bit better.
Well, tonight you only have one, right? Toronto and Columbus. That's all that's happening.
Oh, yeah. Exactly, working with it. So
and my only other thing, and Zilstra's tuning in here, Lost Trucker. I hope you're doing well. Truly, I'm appreciating, liking, and believing in Celebrini. He reminds me of a mix between Young, Elias Pettersson, and Theron Fleury. Yeah, I mean, he has a scoring touch. He really knows how to put the buck in the net. But again, he comes from a sports family. He's been around it all his life. He knows. Hey, Key, great to see you. The Flyers and the Battle of Pennsylvania versus Pittsburgh. Evan, can we quickly just talk before we get to it about the Frozen Frenzy, about your Pittsburgh Penguins? They are 7-2-0. Who predicted it? Because I didn't. I know I had Washington low, but nobody expected Pittsburgh to be as good as they are. Your quick thoughts on what was going on in that game between the Battle of Pennsylvania, because it looked like a ruckus. Zegras got in the mix. There was some kerfuffles, some fights, some big goals. Bobby Brink ends it. Your thoughts?
So I didn't call it last year. I actually thought the Penguins would do better. I stuck with it all year. This year, I started off and said, no, they're lottery material. And long and behold, Malkin right now is lighting it up. Probably the 3rd best player in the league right now. Everyone's saying, oh, this guy's ready to retire. He's 39, like just turning 40 years old here. It's just like what the heck's going on? And then Crosby, the endless oneer, the Mount Rushmore, 1,700 points. Crosby, I'm telling you now, he will only be the 2nd player to reach 2,000 career points or more, right behind Wayne Gretzky. I don't know. Let's go back to last year and my article I even wrote, and we talked about Mount Rushmore. How do you not have him in there?
Yeah. 100%. I understand. But again, with the Frozen Frenzy, the one thing that I would also recommend to the NHL, and again, I know it's logistics, so we may not have that kind of control. And I'll get to Lost Trucker's question in just a bit here, or comment. But really, like, having more rivalries, Edmonton versus Calgary, or Original Six, Toronto versus Montreal. I know Montreal played Seattle, but like, you're already scheduling these things, Boston versus Chicago, 2 up and coming teams right now that are dealing with it, you can have these battles that exist, Colorado and what's it called? And the Red Wings, or you have them versus the Dallas Stars, right? You have Seattle versus Vancouver. So you build up these storylines. You have maybe Chicago versus San Jose. Who's the rebuild going to, right? Keith says love a good fight, and Lost Trucker says, what about that Atlantic Division upside down? Yeah, Montreal.
Let me come back. Can I just come back to love a good fight? Keith's words there with between Pennsylvania, with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Bring Skull. I'm not okay with that. I'm a Flyer fan too, so I love Pennsylvania sports, period. But I am not a fan of coming in and literally stopping the motion. It leans back in his motion and then goes ahead and puts it. You will break a goalie's ankles that way. I'm not okay with that. That should have not been allowed as an actual shootout. But, I'm okay that they won. I'm okay in the shootout. I just don't like how that actually was scored. And I feel like that actually should be illegal. And I'm shocked that they actually call something on that.
That's like the Kuznetsov thing, right? Like he used to do it. He used to slow it down so slow to the point where he almost like stopped. But of course, he just did it enough to make it look like there's emotion. But yeah, I mean, even really like the Atlantic and, with Canadians, Red Wings being on top, and what's been happening. Now, the Maple Leafs have kind of figured it out a little bit, although they're struggling tonight. But really, Evan, I mean, Buffalo's rolling again. We knew Boston was going to struggle a little bit. The Panthers are really struggling, and now Marchand's taking some time away to help a minor team there, head coach for a night, given that the head coach, I believe, had a loss in the family. So good on Brad Marchand. But yeah, it's been interesting to see what's been going on. Any takeaways so far from the NHL before we get into the news?
I think what I'm actually quite surprised with this year. So last week we talked about early surprises, things that teams, and be careful because it's early season. I still say the same thing. Just be careful. Just be careful reading too much into the early season. I'm really thinking that I'm seeing something really good out of Pittsburgh. Love what I'm seeing out of Utah. But you know what? Utah, frankly, just got spanked last night by the Oilers, who were struggling. That's still a struggling Oilers squad. So that was a litmus test, actually, for the Mammoth. So if you start believing your own hype too much, too early, because teams are just gearing up, the veteran teams yet. So again, I'm going to say just give them 2 more weeks. Mid-November, you got a better idea. I'm excited about some of this. I want the Mammoth to succeed. I want the Penguins to succeed. Well, actually, I want the Penguins to get a high draft pick. Just because Crosby and Malkin are going to be gone in a couple of years with it. But I am excited to see them actually in the playoffs if they can play like that. But again, I'm excited about those stories. The story of Pettersson. What's happening with him right now in Vancouver? He's come in, he's been ready, but the way they're deploying him right now, the way he looks hesitant. I don't know what Lost Trucker thinks of the games that she's watched at Vancouver, or if you caught something there, Pawel, but I still see hesitancy. I don't see the same guy from 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think he's been struggling. He's getting more responsibility in relation to the coaching staff, and I believe that there's a lot more pressure on him, given that they are missing so many centers right now. Yeah. Keto, we knew his history of injury, and that was my one worry when they traded for him. I think it's Sassons that's been their second line center. Bluger's out, who's normally that defensive third line center. A couple of years ago, Evan, they had JT Miller, Pettersson, and they had Lindholm, even though he could play wing, so it goes to show you how the depth really changed. And so one name that kind of stands out to me, and I know that he's waiting to play his 1,000th game, is Nazem Kadri. And would the Vancouver Canucks take a chance on bringing him in as that second line center? Kadri wants to win. He has the passion and the drive for it. He's still got a few more years on that big contract, but I mean, it's a little easier to swallow if Vancouver retains, but we'll see what happens, right?
Well, the question is he on
the and I think Garland's injured now too. Go ahead.
Is he on the 13 no team trade list, right? That's what we
Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? Like it's hard to say what that would look like, right?
I mean, that hasn't been mentioned, but it is interesting. I mean, he's open to Montreal, he's open to Toronto. So my guess is he'd be open to Canadian trade to Canadian teams. He is truly a true cold-blooded, I'm going to call him cold-blooded being living in the north, but cold-blooded Canadian. Maybe should be our new moniker, cold-blooded Canadians. Maybe they're warm-blooded, I guess, so they can live.
But you mentioned, and I know we were going to get to this later, but you did mention Utah. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on them locking up Logan Cooley. So he signs one of the last few 8-year deals at $10 million, so $80 million, and he's 21. You know, he put up 8 goals this year and 4 assists, so he's over a point per game this season. Yeah. But in 168 games for them in the last 3 seasons, he's got 53 goals and 68 assists. Now, you know, they lost to Edmonton, but they've been chugging along. They're 8-3-0. Your thoughts on the deal for Logan Cooley, and, you know, is this the last kind of deal we see of this type?
Well, yeah, 8 years. This is, I could see maybe one more deal coming down on the 8-year. But I mean, I don't like the numbers, but I said this last week. Remember, don't follow my numbers because I'm not basing it on this new salary cap. I don't like projections. I think that's my struggle. We were projecting you're getting paid this much now because I want this much. Otherwise, in 2 or 3 years, I'm going to ask for this much more. The teams have to keep adjusting. I almost don't like what's happening on the landscape because it's hard to have parity for people paying and hanging on to players because they know that times are changing. So it affects the overall game of being able to have the actual movement. I almost feel like there should be a freeze for like 3 years at a time. Like, think of McDavid's contract right now on his extension at 12 and a half. Like, I mean, that wasn't just a hometown discount. That literally was slavery. I mean, taking from McDavid, who could be making $20 million. You know what I mean? Easily out of everything. So anyway, I'm okay with it based on the numbers I'm seeing from what it's probably projected, but I'm having a hard time again at this age, but you're eating his free agency years, right? So
100%.
His elite years and his free agency. So you're tapping into both. So, hey, man, I appreciate the fact that they're locking him in. I did not think he was going to show this well. And but what would you do? What would you do if you're Utah and he just, I don't know.
They want to make a big splash. Ryan Smith wants to make a big splash. He wants to make an impact. He really wants to, you know, do something. And I know they're around it, just like Carolina, around any name that is interested.
Well, imagine what's going to happen this summer. Any big free agent.
Well, so Panarin is one name that has come up, but what Frank Saravelli was reporting was that even the Carolina Hurricanes are interested in him, you know, because they could always use that scoring touch. So, I mean, Utah's going to do something here. I'm sure they're going to be trying in on something. I know they were trying to be in on Marner. They were kind of on the outside looking in, so they weren't the four-foot runners. But again, you know, they're willing to spend the big bucks. They have a fan base that's growing, that's excited, that is hungry for excitement. They upgraded their arena before the new one gets built. They have a new mascot now, which we revealed on the show. The team is rolling on all fours, and I'm just excited to see because that's one of the things that I think will make the postseason. It's just a matter of who are they going to kick out, right? And speaking of other teams in the Central, it sounds like Thomas Harley has re-signed with the Dallas Stars, also to an 8-year deal with an AAV of 10.587. But he's a little older, 24. However, he's in his 5th season with the club, and he's got 1 goal and 5 assists so far. He also averages on average about 22 to 24 minutes on the ice. So he plays in big minutes. We know he was called up last minute to be one of the players in Four Nations, Evan. And so he had an assist, but he helped them win gold. And most likely he will be asked to come back for Team Canada for the Olympics. Your quick thoughts on the deal for them and the Stars, especially since Gullickson has taken over this year.
The price is a little steep, but again, I think it's remembering the times we're in, dealing with it. But right now, that Bouchard contract is starting to look good. And I know you got your Bouchard haters say guy can't play defense. Edmonton started weak. Guys, he's coming on. Like his game last night was a good game that he just had. And so he got 3 points. Yeah, just pulled out 3 points just out of nowhere. Just no, I'm not doing nothing. Here's 3 points. He's a game changer, and he's also the most elite in the desperate times and the hardest times to play in the playoffs. And Bouchard signed at a price that's relatively so close to Harley, and you're getting like, and I get he's a couple years older, but again, I mean, it's not as long. Otherwise, Bouchard's would have been much higher. That's the reason why with it. But I just, like I said, I feel these prices are just going crazy, and everything we thought is going to be all changed up. And next year, they're going to get all excited. And there is talk that it may even be rising higher. Like, this is getting, like, I don't really care personally about how much they make or don't make, but I'd hate to be the guy who's dealing with the cap and trying to figure out how to manage this thing. This is hard.
So Lost Trucker says, yeah, JR slowly starting, but they all like to start like the kicking in because it's crazy to think that the top 4 of that draft, Slafkovsky, Simon Nemec, Logan Cooley, and Shane Wright, are all being locked up. And then he says, how do they already have tons of guys locked up? How so? I think him and Lost Trucker are having a little bit. That's Jordan. He's having a conversation.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on. I mean, it's been an exciting thing. And the one thing I will also note is Connor Bedard has really come up. He had a hat trick and 4 points last night in that game versus the Ottawa Senator. The Chicago Blackhawks are starting to look like the team that they should have been last year. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but they will upset some other teams that are trying to make it to the postseason and maybe get home ice advantage. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Connor Bedard. He's shooting more. Connor McDavid, if you're listening, I know that's your mentality is to pass first, but Connor Bedard, he has a shot. He can make it, and it's been exciting to watch him. Again, the Chicago Blackhawks 5-3-2, in the mix there with 12 points. They're not going away. They're being a bit of a pest. Your quick thoughts on Bedard finally finding his game?
Well, I think anyone that's actually watched most of their games this season, which I have with the Chicago Blackhawks, how can I not? Just watching Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar and just watching how they play. I've been enjoying watching Spencer Knight also play goal. What a great trade for them. Moving out Seth Jones and bringing in Spencer Knight. It was a great move for Florida. And that was a pure hockey trade. That worked out perfectly for both teams, around it. So, I'm actually I am pretty pumped at kind of seeing what's happening there with those guys. I don't know if you guys have been following, but man, Rundell's looking like a beast. You already know he's going to be playing with Chicago next year, barring any type of injury that he might have to rehab from. So they're setting up really well. I am still worried about their defense, though. Defense takes longer to develop, and I think that this off season, that's what I look for them to actually make a big move and to bring someone in. So next year is their move. That's what I'm thinking with Chicago. Next year is a move. Who are they going to bring in? And I think you're looking 2 years for the move for the San Jose Sharks. Before they make a move, I think they're going to be.
I still think they pick in top 5 next season, next draft, which will be here to do a full live showing of it.
Their defense, right? Yeah, live showing. Thank you. But their defense, like, come on. So you're talking about being here for the live show, maybe. And I know we didn't start off with this. Why don't we go ahead and update everybody how they can help?
We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on Facebook, on YouTube. Go give us a follow and subscribe. It really does help us. We are on Instagram and we are on X. We have a website, twoguysinhockeytalk.com. If you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us through the website. You can email us. You can @ us on our X/Twitter platform. We love hearing from you, and we appreciate all our sponsors. If you want to get involved in sponsor and work in partnership with Two Guys in Hockey Talk, reach out. We'd love to hear from you guys. We love talking all things hockey. We've had a great time. We have a lot of things planned for the rest of the season. We are already episode 8, Evan. It's insane to think. It feels like we just started, but we're already almost a quarter way through. Like, that's how quickly. Yeah.